All right. My name is Chris Campbell. I'm a practicing CPA and I work with small businesses and individuals to help them pay the least amount of taxes possible while keeping them out of jail. So today I have a little bit of a rant to go on, and it's against Intuit slash, which is the company that has the product. So I'll see a lot of commercials out with QuickBooks. I see commercials, I see web ads, I see it. They're doing a great job at marketing. So I have to commend them for that because I see them almost everywhere, but maybe it's because of the profession that I'm in. They do a great job of marketing. And their message when I see these commercials is that they make it appear so easy for anyone or any business owner to go ahead and do their books. Just sign up with us, leave it all to us. We got it from there. And, and as a result, I think you have a lot of business owners that do believe this. They're grabbing the QuickBooks software and doing the books on their own, mainly because Intuit said that you can do it and everything will come out fine. But I have to say that's probably the furthest thing from the truth. I can't tell you how many times that I've worked with clients who have attempted to do their own books and don't necessarily have the experience. One thing, if you have the experience doing it and the knowledge base of doing it, but many business owners don't, right? Because you didn't go into business to do books. You went into your business to focus on the main activity of your business. And with your books, it's a necessary evil, right? It's a necessary evil to keep your business going and know your numbers. So I've run into countless number of clients who attempt to do it on their own. And then by the time I go and take a look at their books, we do the tax returns and I go into QuickBooks and see that the books are a mess. The books are completely inaccurate. And the problem or the issue is that many of the clients, they don't know it at the time when they're doing it. They're following the instructions as far as what they thought was the right thing. And at the end of the day, it kind of winds up as a big mess with many clients. But their attempt to save money with having the book done, they wind up spending a lot more than what they were trying to save and having to clean up the books so that they have some accurate books so they can have an accurate tax return. It actually winds up costing a bit more in the long run. So I wanted to suggest here how to actually go about using QuickBooks, or how I think you should utilize QuickBooks, the proper way to do it, and also with some alternatives, just so that you don't wind up digging yourself into a hole with some really messy books. Because again, it can cost you with messy books on the back end as far as getting it cleaned up, but it can also cost you a lot in taxes because again, if your books aren't accurate, you can wind up having to pay taxes on income that you really didn't make simply because your books weren't accurate. So my suggestion here is how to use it properly. Now, I'm not saying don't use QuickBooks at all. I think it's a great tool to use. I think it's a matter of knowing when to use it and the circumstances to use it and how to go about using it. So the first thing is that I've seen a number of people who have used the QuickBooks platform and they don't really need it. My rule of thumb is if you are a single person, single owner LLC, and you're grossing anywhere up to say $150,000 a year, you probably don't really need the service. So I know QuickBooks has a scaled down version called the QuickBooks Self-Employed version, which I'm not a big fan of. You'd be better served with even just having a spreadsheet. I have a template that I have and that I actually provide to my clients. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But for many of my clients that hit that category, they're a lot better served just using the spreadsheet method. So it's literally a spreadsheet with a list of categories for expenses and columns for each month. And if you don't really have experience with doing books, you are better served with simply just put everything in the expenses each month and tally it up from there. So check out my link below for my template and you'll see something to use with clients. Obviously with the spreadsheet, it doesn't cost you anything and it ensures that your books are accurate. So now once you hit that threshold and you roll at that 150, now that's not a hard and fast rule. I'm just using that kind of as a rule of thumb, not a hard and fast rule, but for most folks that are in that format, it's usually like a one man or one woman show with those kind of revenue numbers of 150 or less. If you're a corporation or you're taxed as a corporation, then yeah, you should probably be using the QuickBooks just because the calculations are a little complex that you have to do for the tax return. So if you're over the 150 threshold, you're taxed as a corporation or a partnership, have employees on board, having a QuickBooks platform is fine. I think it's okay for you to do it on your own or have someone in-house that can do a lot of the day-to-day transactions, because QuickBooks and some of these other platforms, and other popular one is Zero. These platforms are good at connecting the bank accounts. So what happens is that with the bank accounts, they'll pull the transactions from the bank accounts and import them directly into these platforms. So it eliminates a lot of data entry. It does keep some sense of accuracy with your numbers and your books. But where a lot of people run into trouble is a lot of the classifications of this data that's coming being imported, because to an extent you can set up rules such that some of the expenses, some of the transactions come in will automatically be placed where it needs to get placed, but it doesn't account for everything. And that's where a lot of people get messed up at. So for example, if you are in real estate, when you are acquiring real estate assets, this isn't really good with setting that up as far as setting up the asset. You also have to depreciate the asset. So as far as like when you can expense it, so that's not going to get pulled over from the data for the bank account or bank statement. Another issue is going to be with loans. So whether that be a mortgage, whether that be a loan that you're paying over time, the issue that you're going to have there is, especially if you're paying off that loan, the interest. So if you're making a payment, how much of it is interest, how much of it applies to the loan, right? And then I see with a lot of these quick lenders, as I call them, what they do now is a non-traditional loan where I'm just trying to think like Cabbage offers it, QuickBooks. There's a whole bunch of these different lenders out here where what they'll do is they'll front you the money, and instead of quote unquote charging you an interest rate, you have to pay back a fixed amount. So the company will lend you 30 grand, you have to pay back 38,000. So whether you pay that back in 2 months or 6 months, 12 months, you got to pay them back 38,000. So that's the new wave of the interest. But the issue being here is that that's not data that's going to be pulled over from the bank statement and properly classified in QuickBooks. So there's a number of nuances that need to be accounted for to have an accurate set of books that go well beyond the capability of importing these transactions into QuickBooks. So they don't do a good job of telling you that. And I think that's where a lot of people get jammed up. Now, what I think you should do, because I'm not saying that don't have anyone do it at all, the proper way to do it is if you have someone that's internal in doing the day-to-day classifications, work with a professional, I would say at least on a monthly basis, to do cleanup. Have someone come in and do a monthly cleanup and just go through some of the transactions, maybe even just have a conversation with them month to month. And if there's certain things that they've done, then based upon certain business transactions, the professional should be able to classify those transactions properly and get it cleaned up. So that's my word of advice on the topic, but at least my rant portion is that I just hate it when I see all these books commercials and they just make it seem so easy that all your books will magically get done at the touch of a button. Clearly not the case. So my 2 cents about it, make sure you use a professional lead on a monthly basis. If you don't even want to outsource the thing altogether, that would be my first choice. But if you have someone in house to handle the day-to-day stuff, at least make sure you get an outside professional that knows what they're doing to clean you up. All right. If you have any more questions about this topic or any other tax or account related questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. All right. That's all for now. And I'll talk to you in the next one.